Hello, I am Lorenzo Hurtado Segovia. Welcome to my presentation. It's in three parts. The first part will give you a little background on my practice and myself. The second part will run through the first few years of my artistic career. And then the last part will focus on the last 5 years since 2017. It will be the music for the first few sections. Um, Music is a big part of, of my life, and there's a correlation between that and the work. I hope you enjoy this. And so this is 2017 now, an exhibition at a former gallery called CB1 in downtown LA. And it was part of broader Getty sponsored series of exhibitions. My work was titled Vida, Pasión y Muerte, which translates to Life, Passion, and Death. And this is the first room with paper weavings. So these are paper weavings just made with acrylic paint on paper, cut into strips, and then hand woven. There isn't any painting after the weaving, so all the painting happens before the paper is cut into strips. All the pieces are double sided, and I try to, within the same technique, push the technique to create different, varied results from it. So some of them are very abstract, others are more representation. Some of them have a clear image on one side that is discernible, and then it's something different on the back side. Oftentimes it has to do with color, but many times it has to do also with the content. This is a nativity scene, so it tells the story of the donkey representing Mary and Joseph traveling to Bethlehem. Then, in some traditions within Christianity, there are the three wise king or wise men, the Magi, who travel from various parts of the world. So they are represented by three animals: the horse, um, the camel, and the elephant. In this case, representing three different continents. And so all of these are painted on paper, acrylic on paper, with embroidery. Each image has embroidered elements. And I use embroidery and different craft techniques on the same par as painting and drawing. So oftentimes it's because of their line or their pattern. Here is a star, and also a little lamb. So there's a lot of standing in. Then finally, baby Jesus, although he looks a little bit older than a baby, with a glorious rose crown. This is titled the Hope of the Just. And the whole series, still painting with embroidery. And in this particular case, there's sequins. And for this body of work, as always, I want to explore as much material as possible. These wooden sculptures are all made from wood sourced in and around LA from fallen trees. The paintings, these paintings, are sourced from materials also from LA. The tar is from the La Brea tar pits, which is a geological, archaeological site here in LA. The sand is from the Pacific coast, so from the beach here in LA. And for me, it was interesting and important to have materials that could physically be traced back to this place. And the imagery is also inspired by this place. So a lot of the, like, let's say, the bigger picture or concerns were theological, historical, and synchronization. The encounter of the Western Christianity with the local indigenous worldviews, and how that collision created a mestizo, this hybrid culture. And that's where I'm from. This, for instance, is a cruciform, and it is also a condor, a bird, the largest flying bird in the Americas, which was a symbol for the Inca resistance of the conquistadores. This here is now a Madonna. It's a Virgin Mary, made out of pecan. That's the main body, and traditionally, Virgen de Guadalupe has constellations on her robe, and so that's what the inserts are: maple. The base is walnut and maple. The top, the crown, head crown, is walnut and acorns, oak acorns. A lot of these techniques that I use to make the sculptures are old world and New World techniques. They're done with hand tools. Now, this is the death room for that exhibition, and at the center is a pall. Typically, we see in America palls come in two forms. The first one is white, which is rare. We don't see that as much. And the one we see mostly is with the American flag. So I decided to make this one as emblazoned remembrance of a person of their victories, their struggles, right? There's the fist of resistance with question marks. There's the fire. There's hope. It is a life-size Paul. Now this is a commissioned work. It's slowly been making more immersive public or private art that is commissioned for specific sites. This is for a library for elementary, but for the younger age group, for kindergarten to like second grade. And the librarians discuss that their students live in a concrete jungle. And even though this is still a concrete jungle, we wanted to create some kind of element that brings in the environment. So all the mountains, all the animals in there are inspired by local animals and the local hills that are seen from this library room out a window. These animals here, they're so flat, they're double-sided and they're very flat. They're like little bookmarks, and they're done in such a way that they could be repositioned all over the library, creating like a search game. And the animals are local animals from the hills that are just a few blocks away from that library, the Hollywood Hills. This table is also from flowers that are local flowers, and it's made up of 4 sections, and they're stackable. So the work that I make is carpentry, textiles, painting, drawing. It really varies depending on what the occasion calls for. It keeps me engaged, and I love the troubleshooting part of that. So here's the mural painted directly onto the wall. Some of the sculptures that were brought in, the animals inside, and then a little bit of weaving. These are ceramic masks. It's in process. It's inspired by the Matachines dances, where various holidays have various masks and dances for the festivities. Eventually, we'll have braided beads and ropes hanging on them. Now we move on to graphite. This is a lot more recent. This is probably from 2019. Many of the works I make simultaneously, so I might be working on graphite on paper because that is smaller and I can take it with me in my bag to errands or to take my lunch break at work. I can pull out my paper and draw for a little bit. Whereas other more involved and bigger artworks I do in my studio. And so that allows me also to use a little bit of that downtime. And one amazing thing about being an artist and having downtime that I fill up with pencil drawings, for example, is that there's a slowing down even while I'm working. There's a being aware of the present, and that I love. This piece here rips, rest in peace, gender roles, machismo, intolerancia, colorism, egoism. And this here is a wedding celebration scene where these two men join together in what the Episcopalian has become the primary mainstream denomination that supports embraces and blesses same-sex marriage. Interestingly, there's a lot of progressive traits within the Episcopalian Church while retaining some historical regalia and ornaments and traditions that are, and that contrast I find really beautiful, inspiring, and interesting. Throughout LA, we often struggle with droughts. We have palm trees, have the ocean, but we struggle with droughts. And so there's a water meter here and pigeons. Pigeons are amazing because they're everywhere and they don't really care. They're just there. They eat this and that, they go here and there, and even if LA is burning, they observe. And sometimes I want to be in their place, observing, taking the environment, and drawing inspiration from it. These drawings are small, they're about letter size, so around 8 by 11 inches. Again, that size works for me because I can put them in my bag and take them with me. If I find a little bit of quiet time, I can work. They all go together into a single frame, and this would be the arrangement that they're in. I try to compose each image so that they are individually composed, but also so that they work with each other through different segues, different arrangements. Now this is a polyester strap weaving. It measures roughly 7 by 8 feet. And they're made out of polyester straps, rivets, and grommets. They're very industrial, very malleable. They are not double-sided like the paper weavings because the straps are the same color on both sides. The material allows them to be outdoors and indoors. And because they are so soft in terms of their flexibility, but they're also very rugged, they can be installed in different ways. For instance, they can be installed straight flat on the wall, but they could also adjoin surfaces. So they can drape, they can go from wall to ceiling, they can be suspended from wires. This is an interesting opportunity. I came to it in the last year. In March 2020, that's when I started exploring it. The last bit of work that I will share with you is a mural project sponsored by the Los Angeles County and the USC General Hospital. They are making this beautiful village for aftercare. When patients are dispatched from the hospital, they can stay in these villages for additional care. That was the digital file, and then this is the actual tiles. This is what it looks like, printed out. The process was fascinating to me because it included hand drawing, hand painting, hand weaving, photography, and then everything was assembled into a digital file that a company out in Florida is able to print out onto tile like this. It's amazing. Bless you and have a wonderful week.